Parshas Kedoshim. This parsha begins with the exhortation to be holy, Kedoshim to you. Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe lemor. This is 19:1, Yutes Aleph. Hashem says to Moshe, saying, Daber kol adas b'nei Yisrael, speak to the entire congregation of the children of Israel, V'amar ta'alehem, and say to them, Kedoshim to you, be Kedoshim. We're going to use the word holy now. God willing, we will get a more precise or clear definition in a little bit. Kedoshim to you. Why? The Torah provides the rationale. Ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokeichem, because holy am I, the Lord your God. So we are told to be holy because God is holy. Okay, well, that might be achievable. If the Torah says do it, then it is achievable. And the question is, how is it achievable? How are we to be holy like God is holy? So there are famously two explanations. There are a few more, but the most famous ones are those of Rashi and the Ramban. Rashi says, Hevu Kedoshim to you. What does it mean to be Kedoshim? Hevu Perushim min ha'arayos umin ha'avera. Separate yourselves. Be separate from arayos. Arayos are illicit sexual relations. And avera means from transgression. So even though arayos are avera, are transgression, but apparently they are, that category of illicit sexual relations is worthy of a special note. So Rashi says the way we must be Kedoshim is to separate ourselves from illicit sexual relations and arayos. Now the Ramban mentions Rashi, and he takes issue with Rashi. And he says that according to his opinion, it means don't get carried away with things, with material things that could make you naval b'rshus haTorah, a repulsive person within the confines of the Torah. Meaning, the exhortation is not to not violate the Torah. According to the Ramban, that would be redundant. We already know we're not supposed to violate the prohibitions. By definition, they're prohibitions. We're not supposed to do them. So instead, the Ramban takes a different approach, and he says that it means that we must limit our engagement with the luxuries of this world. We shouldn't get carried away with the material world. Okay, Machlokas Rashi and the Ramban, difference of opinion between the two great Rishonim who are commentators on the Chumash. Now let me ask a question. We raised this question before. I'm approaching it from a somewhat different angle this time. It says, Kedoshim to you ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokeichem. Be holy because God is holy. How in the world is separating ourselves from illicit sexual relations, from avera, from transgression, from overindulging in material things, how does that make us holy like God? God does not have a body. God does not have the temptations of flesh. So how does our desisting from the temptations of flesh create a situation where we are holy like God is holy or because God is holy? It doesn't seem to be thematically connected. It's an impossibility when it comes to God. God has no Yetzer Hara. We're succumbing to Yetzer Hara. As they say in Yiddish, the Zustel, the comparison just doesn't seem to begin. So let's look at where the term Kadosh comes out. It shows up many, many times in the Torah, in Tanakh generally. We can't examine all of them. But it does show up at the beginning of the Torah. It says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sanctified, if you will, the day of Shabbos. Many authorities assert that the best way to figure out what a word means is to look for its first use in the Torah. Whether or not we need to follow that rule strictly, but it's nevertheless informative. The Torah says in the second chapter of Bereshis, Pasuk Gimel, verse 3, Vayivarach Elokim es yom hashvi'i vayikadeshoso. God blessed the seventh day, and he made it holy. Kivo Shavas mikom lachto asher bara Elokim lasos. Because on that day he desisted from all of his work that he created to do. So what does it mean in that context? He made the day holy. Let's look at another context in which we're fairly familiar with. It's in the third parsha of the Shema. It says you should have tzitzis, fringes on your four-cornered garments. It says risemoso, You'll see them, and you'll remember all of the mitzvot Hashem, and you'll perform them. You will not stray after your heart and after your eyes, that you stray after them. So that you will remember. And you'll do all the mitzvos. You look at the tzitzis, you'll remember. It will be motivation to do the mitzvos. And you will be holy to your God. What does it mean you'll be holy to your God? I'd like to suggest that we can be informed by other uses of that phrase also, and what the commentaries say. For example, when somebody dedicates an animal to be used as an offering in the temple, when he's makdish a korban, the language, the verb is he's makdish. It's kodesh. What does it mean? It's hektish. What does that mean? It means it's designated for the Torah. When the Torah describes, when Chazal describe the kiddushin, ish mekadesh, what does mekudeshes mean? What is that? We refer to matrimony as kiddushin. What does it mean? So it means miyuchadum zuman. Tosfos explains separated and designated. Now, frequently the Mefarshim explain that kadosh means mufrashim muvdal, means separated. But separated for what? Just not everything that's separated is holy. In fact, the same language of kuf daled shin is used for people who have extraordinarily bad behavior. A prostitute is referred to as a kadesha, sometimes referred to as a zonah, but also as a kadesha, kadesh or kadesha. There are people who are like off the grid as far as holiness is concerned, and yet the Torah uses the same kuf daled shin. So I would like to suggest that the term kadosh does mean mufrashim muvdal, does mean separated, but it also means designated, committed, and designated. So you have Ata Kadosh, V'Shimcha Kadosh, Ukdoshim B'chol Yom Yahalu Chasela. This is from the Amidah prayer, the Shemona Esrei. We say, you are holy, your name is holy, and the holy ones will praise you. Who are the holy ones? The Mefarshim explained that they're the Malachim, the angels. They also suggest that it could be Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, because we are separated from the Umos HaOlam, from the non-Jews. But Malachim, we know something about the Malachim, which is that they are single-minded. They're dedicated to doing Ritzon HaBorei, to doing the will of God. And in fact, they have no choice. They cannot do anything but their mission, their Ritzon HaBorei. And if you think of each time the word kadosh is used, whether it's Vayikra Elokim es Yom HaShavi, Vayikadesho, so God sanctified the day. What does it mean? It means he designated the day. That day is committed to the relationship between the Bnei Yisrael and the children of Israel and the Almighty. It's a dedicated day. If we talk about a Kiddushin, it's dedicated. The woman is dedicated to this man. If we talk about a korban, the korban is designated, it's committed. That implies an exclusivity, and it implies a porush and muvdal, mufrash and muvdal. It implies that it's separated from all others, because that's what dedicated means. That's what committed means. It means that there is a relationship of intensity with you, with the mikdash, with each other, with the couple, whatever it is, to the exclusion of others. And I believe that what the Torah is saying, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, when he says, Kadoshim to you, ki kadosh ani, Hashem Elokechem, you be holy because I am holy. What does that mean, I'm holy? It means I'm dedicated to you. I am there for you all the time. Hinei lo yonum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. Kadosh Baruch Hu does not sleep. The guardian of Israel never sleeps, never slumbers. Kadosh Baruch Hu is dedicated to Bnei Yisrael, to the children of Israel. What does he ask? He asks that we be dedicated to him. How do we accomplish that? By removing big-time distractions. What are big-time distractions? Well, arayos, sexual relationships, are really big-time distractions, and we see that from the society around us. Other big-time distractions, physical indulgences, material goods. You can eat kosher, you can say brachos, you keep Yoshin, keep Chol Yisrael, and you can still be consumed by the quest for more material, for the flesh, for the steak, for whatever it is. I'm not criticizing anybody's appetites. I'm talking about what are the potential distractions for a person from his focus on doing the will of God, on Ritzono Bori. And the more we, and some of the Meforshim say this, the Seforno quotes many instances, and there are other commentaries as well, who say that the more we engage in the chomrius, in the material, the more distracted we will be from our mission of being close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and doing His will. And so when the Almighty says, Kadoshim to you, be Kadoshim, I believe what He's saying is be dedicated and separate yourself from distractions. Separate yourself from the passions that can cause you to be lo sasuru achrei levavchem ve'achrei einechem, that you'll stray. We're trying to stay true. We're trying to stay committed, and we're trying to stay dedicated to doing the will of God. And by so doing, we will be fulfilling Kadoshim to you, Ki Kadosh Ani. Have a good Shabbos.